All right, I am back. Welcome to video number 3 in our 4-part training series on how to dominate in any real estate market. That's what we want you to do. And if you remember in part number 1, we talked about my 4-square strategy matrix. We talked about the evolution of a real estate investor. We talked about the biggest challenges new investors face. If you haven't seen that yet, go back and watch part 1. In part 2, we started talking about the 6 steps to closing a deal with a motivated seller. And if you haven't watched that video yet, go watch that one. That's going to cover steps 1 and step 2, which is picking a target market and also finding motivated sellers within that target market. And we started talking about tracking your KPIs, your key performance indicators. And in this video, we're going to do steps 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's pretty much, everything from negotiations, due diligence and circumstance analysis, funding, closing the deals, getting paid, and rinsing and repeating. So I hope you're excited because this is some great information that's going to help you out in a big way. So let's dive into the training. All right, so now we're going to move into circumstance analysis and due diligence. What are some property issues we run into? Foundation, roofs, mold, cat ladies. That's a property issue. Termites. Okay, there's a lot of things. Anything that would cause repairs, right? Fire, flood damage, vacant, abandoned, taxes owed, outstanding HOA liens. There's going to be a lot of issues with title and property that can motivate somebody. And we got to uncover this because not everybody's going to just volunteer this information to you, right? Through conversation, you're going to motivationally interview it out of them. Okay? What are some seller issues? Divorce, death, foreclosure, probate, inherited and unwanted property. Yep. All right, there's a lot of different reasons. I mean, obviously, this isn't everything, but this is pretty much the most common list out there. So as we're uncovering, when we generated the lead and now we're having these conversations, we're going to use our scripts to uncover what's going on, why, what's happening in their lives to make them want to sell to us here today. There's got to be that intense motivation, all right? Due diligence is us now focusing on whether or not this is a deal or a dud. We have somebody we're going to bring up. His name is Simon. He's a freaking genius when it comes to deal analyzation. He's got more skills than anybody I've ever met, and he's going to break down how he analyzes deals and show you guys the tools he uses, all right? So this step is really important. It's really important if you're doing rehabbing and you're going to go hard on this deal. But if wholesaling, you don't have to focus on it as much because you're not actually taking the property down. And I don't want you guys to get stuck in the analyzation stage because a lot of wholesalers get stuck there. So what I typically do is I throw up Google Maps. I try to figure out what's going on around the subject property. Is it sitting next to a milk processing plant, or is it on a major intersection, or something weird going on? Is it a flat roof with all pitched roofs in the neighborhood? Like, what is going on with this thing? And thank God for technology like Google, because we can just zoom right in and figure things out pretty quickly. Look up tax records. We're going to show you some websites to go to get to the tax records in your local area. If you have access to the MLS, you can also do some of this stuff from Zillow, looking up past data on the property, active, pending, and sold and rental comps. If you have access to the MLS or an investor-friendly real estate agent, it's important that you guys do this. And then really important that you learn days on market if you're going to be doing anything like pitching a property to a rehabber or actually rehabbing yourselves. All right? Offline, you got to get out from your computer, go drive it. This is really important in wholesaling as well because most wholesalers break down when the conversation with a cash buyer starts happening and you don't know your stuff. And they're gonna figure it out real quick that you're kind of a bozo. And you don't want to be the bozo wholesaler, right? You got to get your stuff together. That way when you're talking to them, oh yeah, I was just out there yesterday, house is in good shape, side of the yard needs a little bit of work, keys on the electrical box. Like, you just know your stuff. Whatever their question is, you're able to handle it right away. inspect the property, and take photos and videos. Is YouTube marketing free? Yeah. If you are doing a selfie video, hey, Cody out here, 555 Main Street. You know, if you're looking for great deals, go to, aptusinvestments.com. This particular property is a wholesale deal that I have at whatever. You tell little details. Go here, jump on my buyer's list, or call me at this number. Throw it up, optimize the video the way we show you how. You wake up 6 months from now, you got 50 of those. You got a lot of cash buyer activity coming back, funneling into your business, and it's all free. Make sense? Make sense? Yes. All right. Property acquisition, cash or terms, right? It's pretty easy to make a cash offer, even if it's a really lowball cash offer. You just, right before you say it, you just take a big breath. I'll pay you $30,000. And you just wait for it. You just get it out, all right? Let it hit them, all right? But you're going to go in with a strategy, because winging it is not a strategy, is it? No, you got to go in with a strategy, and we're going to show you how to do that. All right? Terms, obviously, that's when we start getting into everything else but price. Is all terms flexible? So if I come to you and I say, hey, one of the benefits of working with a real estate investor like myself is that I pay all the closing costs. So whatever deal we negotiate, that's a net number to you. Sounds pretty good, right? Yeah. Then we start negotiating. Hour goes by, and they want too much money for the property, and I keep creeping my price up. Am I going to start then changing my conversation about paying all the closing costs? Oh, yeah. Right? Hey, listen, I'm going to step outside. I'm going to ask my business partner, see if this is going to work for us. I'll be right back. Your higher authority, you come back in and say, hey, listen, it was really tough, but I got them there. And I'm able to pay a little bit more. I need a little bit more time, though. I know I said I could do this in 10 business days. I actually am going to need more like 30, just because I got to move money from one project to another, so I'm going to extend out the time. Okay? Plus, since my partner's out of town, I'm going to need an extra 3 days or 5 days on my inspection period. Right? So I'm going to push that out. And, I know you want to be fair, and I want to be fair to you, so is it okay if we just split closing costs traditionally, just like any other transaction? Right? That's a negotiation on terms. Right? Everything is negotiable. Okay, so cash is, you got to get a significant discount from retail if you're going to go hard on cash. Everything else is seller participation. And the goal is to think of yourself as a transactional engineer. All right? What this means is you got tools in your tool belt. And you're able to quickly, based on the information coming in real time, compute it, modify your conversation, and come back at them with solutions that work for the both of you. Your goal is to always create win-win transactions. And if you're wholesaling, it's win-win-win transactions. You guys understand that? Right? What are the wins? Win for the seller, win for you, and win for the buyer. Okay? We call that leaving the meat on the bones. Right? You're not a greedy wholesaler. You're a lazy wholesaler. Right? My mentor Lyle taught me that phrase, and it's stuck with me ever since. All right, stage 5. Step 5 is funding the deal. We're going to go through this in great detail. There's a lot of different ways to fund a deal. If you're paying cash, okay, is wholesaling a funding strategy? Absolutely. Huh? It could be both. It is a funding strategy because it's a creative way to get somebody to pay cash for the property, just not you. Okay? Traditional. Okay, we got conventional and HELOCs and refis and all that good stuff. Hard money and soft money. Have you guys heard of soft money? Okay. One of the sponsors of this event is a great organization called Lending Home. They've done a great job creating something in a space that was never done before. They've added technology to the process of doing soft money loans, hard money transactions, and private money, and they're absolute phenomenal partners. And we're going to have a working lunch with them on Sunday, and they're going to talk about different ways for you to get access to capital. So asset-based lending is, I use hard money quite a bit. If you do use hard money, you just need to know your stuff. You need to buy it right. That's the key, and we'll go over that. Make sure you don't get caught doing something you shouldn't be doing. And then private is what we call financial friends. Has any of you actually approached any of your friends or family members and talked to them about what you're doing and started planting seeds? Yeah, that's where we go, right? We got our sphere of influence. You got to go there first. And it might not be them that you're actually thinking of or they're thinking of. They might be thinking of somebody that they know. You need to tell every single person you know from this day forward what you do and why you do it. You never know who is going to be the catalyst for you to raise a lot of money. I raised $2.5 million through a guy that worked for me that I had no freaking clue that his dad was mega wealthy. I didn't know that for almost probably 10, 12 months. And all of a sudden I realized, wow, this guy, his dad was not like loaded, but like mega loaded. Like Villa in France loaded. You know, and I'm like, okay, can I talk to your dad? And he's like, yeah. It was that easy. So it's important to have financial friends. You got to plant the seeds. And do you ever want to go and ask to borrow money? No. You don't want to borrow money. You want to offer an opportunity. Right? Nobody's going to lend you money if they know you're broke and you need to beg for money. Right? So then you got to implement the strategy. Right? I don't want to get too much into this stuff. We are going to cover fix and flips in depth, creative financing in depth, and on Sunday we'll talk a little bit about rentals. All right. So we're going to have to fly through this because I just noticed that I'm out of money. Out of time. So we're gonna kind of go through some of this stuff. Setting up your business the right way. You guys got to get good at modeling other people that have already cracked the code. Look for people who have the results that you want, find out what they're doing, and then do the same thing. You guys agree with that philosophy? Yep. Okay, first three things you're going to want to do. Pick an entity name, choose an entity structure, and request an EIN number, and then open up your bank account. All right, who here's already done that? Okay, put your hands down. Who here still needs to do that? Okay. First three things that you guys want to do. Okay? What are some good entity names? LLC. Is Cody Buys Crack Houses LLC? Great name? Yes? You want to think this through, okay? This is part of your branding strategy, but it doesn't have to be the brand. And this is why I'm bringing it up. Sometimes, like when I first started, you know, I decided I'm going to create Sell Quick for Cash. That was one of the first ones that I set up. And so, you know, I thought it was great until I started going to people on the buyer side and saying, hey, we sell Quick for Cash properties. And they were like, thinking to themselves, that applies to the seller, not really to me, the buyer, right? And it almost had a negative connotation deep down inside for some reason. I never really thought that through. So think through your entity names. Keep it general. Don't go all the way to a place where you're actually calling it something specific about buying, like other than like maybe like what we did, Aptus Investments. Right? Just keep it general for your entity. That way it can work on either side of the transaction. Is entity different than identity? Yes. Identity is your brand, your forward-facing brand. So you can have 30 websites out there that funnel leads into your business. Just because when you sign a contract, the name is whatever LLC, that you don't have to have a website that says whatever LLC is your only website. You can have websites that funnel leads in. Those can be your DBAs, right? You guys understand that? Yes. All right, so don't get too stuck on that. When you're doing this, and I want to give a little disclaimer, I'm not a real estate attorney. You need to go talk to an attorney before you set up a business. Get their legal advice on what entity is best for you. I'll tell you what I personally use, an LLC treated as an S-Corp for wholesaling. Okay, that's what I personally use. All right, there's a lot of benefits to having an LLC. They're extremely flexible. They're pass-through entities, and they're going to be very cheap and easy to set up, unless you're in California, and then for some reason they charge you a whole bunch of money. But you're probably going to want an LLC, and you're probably going to want it treated as an S-Corp, all right? If you're holding property, you're going to want to talk about different entity structures and different ways to use trusts along with your LLCs, so talk to your legal team for that. Business address. Do you want people, after you send out a direct mail campaign, to show up at your house? No. Ask me how I know. I was sending 100,000 direct mail pieces a month, and I'm telling you, they show up at the P.O. box, okay, to hand you a note that says, take me off your effing list, okay? So just make sure you use a P.O. box. A UPS store, what's great about them is they don't treat it as a P.O. box. They treat it as a physical property address, all right? Business cards, I suggest having 2 different types of business cards, one for sellers, right, motivated sellers. It would look something like this. Very professional, cash for houses, utilize the front and the back, have great copy on them, okay? Motivate them for maybe bird dogging for you, bringing you leads. Your other business card is more for you when you're out networking. How many of you guys brought business cards? Okay, you're going to hand them all out? Yes. Who's going to be fresh out of business cards before they leave here? Nice. Okay. Who here's just going to hand people cards and not even talk to them? Right? You can't do that, right? You got to build relationships. Yeah. That'd be actually pretty funny if you invented, like, I have this money gun that shoots money. If you had, like, a business card gun, shot people. I digress. So the other business card is for people that you're not going to want very much information on your other business card. It could be your company logo, your website, and maybe an email address, and then a line where you're going to handwrite in your phone number. And it's a psychological trigger that you're going to do for somebody when you sit down and you have a meeting and you actually like the person. And you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to give you my personal cell phone number. And they're going to feel really good about it, right? And you're going to handwrite in. Otherwise, you don't want people calling you, right? You want them emailing you. So you're more efficient, because if you are good with your time management, you're going to have your email time, and you're not going to be getting distracted with incoming phone calls every 30 seconds. So you give the people that you know can make the biggest difference in either you and them or them and you, okay? Your phone number, everybody else get your email address, all right? Google Voice. Who here's using Google Voice? It's a great free phone system. Set it up. Go to googlevoice.com or google.com/voice. Okay? This is the phone system when you start ramping up. It's called Better Voice. Better Voice is the bomb.com. It's marketing system for phones. It's automatic marketing systems for phones. So somebody might call us and get one type of sequence of marketing that happens the first time they call, but then the system recognizes that they called in again and a different sequence of events happens. So maybe the first time they get a message that plays while they're waiting for somebody to pick up, and then maybe it automatically sends them to a voicemail. At the same time, a text or a direct voicemail blasts out to their phone, okay? The second time they call, maybe it reroutes it to somebody different, and a different text message goes out, or something else happens. You guys understand? This is how people with full-time jobs set their businesses up the right way so they can do real estate in their spare time. You utilize the right technology. Google Business Apps, I highly recommend this for your email, Google Docs, Cloud Drive, sharing documents between your team.